Hello and welcome everyone. Here we are. We're here for a little bit of a different video. If you read the title, obviously it means that's why you're here. We're gonna do some ranting and raving here. I sound like a lunatic for a few minutes. For those who don't know, as of today, when I'm recording this, February the 10th, it was a Secret Lair Titans, I believe, was revealed by Wizards of the Coast. Now, in this Secret Lair, there's going to be Primal Titan, Frost Titan, Inferno Titan, and Uro and Kroxa. I want to say those. Now, inside there was a notation where Wizards said... Actually, give me a second. Alright, I was slightly wrong. They're two different showcases. Showcase Kaldheim, which is the new frames. Anyway, has Uro in it, Primal Titan, and Frost Titan. But down here, there is a notation. Note, we are planning on updating Ban and Restricted announcement. In that announcement, we plan to ban Uro, Titan of Nature's Wrath, in Pioneer, Modern, and Historic. Additionally, we are continuing to discuss about doing the same in Legacy. While we are still working internally on this large Ban and Restricted announcement for that week, we wanted to share this information ahead of the sale. Now, number one, I want to just say I normally hate 90% of the things that Wizards of the Coast does, at least since Arena has come out. But I have to say, I don't like this is the way the announcement for a Uro ban is happening. I don't like it at all. I think it is the worst way to do it. From the perspective of this is a product that people are going to buy, I think this is the smartest thing they've done. Because I'll tell you right now, if I spent the $25 or $35 to buy one of these to play the Uro in my cube, in whatever, standard or in modern or legacy especially, though, I would not be happy. I'd be very angry if it turned out that it got banned, especially considering these arts are cool, but I'm not going to buy it just for a Primal Titan and a Frost Titan, you know? Also, the other showcase Kaldheim is pretty sweet too. Inferno Grave and Kroxa. The Boros, the Valentine's Day one is pretty soaked too. The Monastery, Swift Spear, and Boros Charm. And then the Lands one, which I believe I tweeted a photo of those, but also kind of like these. Mistbind Click, Spellstar Sprite, Vendilion Click. If they get these on MTGO, I think I'm going to buy a bunch of these arts. But anyway, I will put a link to this in the description of the video, if I remember, so you guys can see it too. Anyway, what we're here to talk about isn't the Secret Lairs. It's about the banning of Uro. Now, it's split amongst community from what I've seen. Okay, not split. It's like 60-40. 60% of the community is just so glad that Uro is getting banned and are thinking it's way, way overdue. Now, for me, Uro, yes, is a card that can be problematic in the format because, number one, it is great against aggressive decks. It is also great against control decks. And more importantly, it is a card that when you're behind will get you back in the game very quickly. And regardless of what matchup. In mid-range, control doesn't matter. With that being said, it's not the only card we have in the current format that does that. There's a lot of cards. Now, none of these specifically I'm saying I think should be banned outright. But I do think there's cards that should be also considered for bannings. So Uro, of course, is gone. We're already there. Uro's gone. No more Uro. The next big card that I think needs to change is Valky and Tibalt. Honestly, before Uro's banned, this needs to, like, next week. Like, we're talking next Monday, they need to announce a rules change or a banning. They need to ban Valky in Modern. Just eliminate the problem, which I think is a terrible idea. I think that's horrible. Valky's a cool card, and the other Tibalt's cool. And I hate the fact that I just never play it if they ban it. So I don't think banning it's right. They need to change how Cascade works. Or hell, they can just ban all 3 CMC Cascade cards in Modern, for all I care. But I think that's worse. I think you just That would kill Living End, and I don't want Living End to be a deck that dies, because I think it's a cool fringe deck to have exist in the format. It's a really cool deck when graveyard decks are not super popular and super powerful to have existing. I think this needs to have the Cascade rule changed, so that Cascade says, okay, it can only cast a side that it counts for, or whatever. So the card that checks the converted mana cost is the only side you can cast. I think that's a super easy fix. I think that needs to be the very next fix that is made. Like I said, I think that should be done before Uro is even banned, but that probably won't happen. Anyway, now with Uro going, that of course brings up a lot of things. Number one, Uro is a card that's arguably too powerful for the format, because it just kind of moves things in your direction and moves so many decks to want to play those colors. Another card that does that is Omnath. Now this card can do the same thing. It's good in control matchups, it's good in aggressive matchups, and it's fine in mid-range. Or it's good in aggressive, good in mid-range, and it's fine in control matchups. Gains you life, produces you mana. It does a ton of stuff. Yes, you have to make land drops to do it, but these decks already want to play 26, 27 lands alongside Field of the Dead. So my problem here is, if we're banning Uro, we should ban Omnath. They should both go. End of discussion. There's no reason for one of these to exist in the format if the other's not going to exist. So I think they need to ban Omnath alongside Uro. Otherwise, you're just banning Uro because everyone's been saying you need to ban Uro for months. For over a year now, actually, almost. Which, on one hand, again, I expected Uro to go a long time ago. But for me, it's not nearly as bad as Oko. For me, Uro is a card that can exist in the format, and it can make blue decks really, really strong, but doesn't just divert the entire format to have to be blue. Hell, the Heliod Company combo, I would rather see go before Uro, to be honest, just because you can't interact with it very easily. But anyway, if Uro's going, Omnath needs to go. Seriously, just gone. On top of that, next we have a bunch of lands that are just absolutely absurd that are still in the format. Specifically Field of the Dead and Mystic Sanctuary. These cards are just not fun to play against. They cause terrible play patterns. And my big thing is, you already have some lands that are really, really strong and almost backbreaking that are banned. A land like Cloud Post is banned in Modern because what it was doing was super degenerate. Same with Eye of Ugin. Both these cards are currently banned in Modern. I forgot about Eye of Ugin being on this list, to be honest. But to me, neither of these cards... First of all, Cloud Post is less consistent and less powerful than the Urza's engine. Now, yes, you could possibly pan the Urza engine over, but keep in mind, Cloud Post comes into play tapped. So you're never going to have that busted amount of mana on turn 3. The best you could do is 6 mana on turn 3. Which, yes, don't get me wrong, 6 mana is still a ton, but that means you have 3 of the exact same card in your deck in play. Well, I guess technically it doesn't have to be 3. You could have one of the other Locus. And at that point, you could also have 7. But that's it. That's still 2 copies of one card that both came into play tapped. Meaning you couldn't afford to be searching up other pieces while you were doing this. You just had to naturally have them. And on top of that, then the artifact lands are still banned. And now listen, when Mox Opal was around, I completely agreed that the artifact lands are too strong. They should not be allowed in Modern. Now that Mox Opal's gone, I would love to see these played. Number one, there are lands that are not indestructible. There's only one indestructible artifact land, and it's not banned. But these are lands that get shut off by all of the artifact hate. Plus, they get destroyed by a Braid and such, which is awesome. I think these could easily come off the ban list. And of course, you guys know I'm a major advocate for cards not just staying on the ban list to stay on the ban list. So I think that if these two are going, if we're really wanting to take away blue as this busted, unbelievably powerful color, these two need to go with it as well. And if Omnath doesn't go, Sanctuary or Field of the Dead needs to go in its place. There's no way you can let 3 of the 4 of these cards stick around in the format any longer when we're talking about Uro here. Now, a lot of people are going to call for a Valakut ban too because it's just one of those really powerful cards that's not super fun to play against. Honestly, for me, if you got rid of the Amulet of Titan or Amulet Titan part of the deck, I would be fine with Valakut existing because The green-red escape shift decks are fine. I don't have a problem with those. I like those. I don't mind playing against them. They're straightforward, but they're not quite as ridiculously busted and fast as Amulet of Vigor can be. And I think Amulet should just be banned in general. Anyway, it allows for broken gameplay that's not fun to play, not fun to be a part of. It should just be banned. Anyway, the next big one that a lot of people I hear talk about is Neoform, because while it's an inconsistent combo, all it could take is one day for us to get one really good new enabling card or searching card or something that would make this strategy really busted. And we also have Goryo's Vengeance and a couple other of these combos that rely off of Griselbrand being put into play for cheap. Now, instead of banning Neoform or Goryo's Vengeance, which I know you can still Goryo's back in Emrakul and stuff, but that's a lot more work. With Griselbrand, if you just discard Griselbrand during turn 1, then you get to do all this other stuff with it. You can just play your game and then eventually Griselbrand into play. So I think Griselbrand should be banned, not Neoform. Sorry, guys, got a tickle in my throat. Griselbrand should go, not Neoform. I think it's absolutely ridiculous that that deck still exists in the format in general. Had they not printed Force of Negation, that deck would not be able to exist. It'd be too strong, in my opinion. Next up are the other cards that I think, like Tybalt's Trickery. That's a card that there's no upside for this card existing. None. There's no positive for it. There's no good thing that it's around for. It should be gone. Anyway, sorry. My point with Valakut was it shouldn't be banned. And then the Tron pieces. These cards are ridiculous. I honestly could see Cloudpost coming off the ban list and still being fine, just because we already have a better Cloudpost deck in Tron. So all these cards I'm an advocate for taking off the ban list, as well as these cards I'm an advocate for staying unbanned. Next up are the value cards, or the cards that are just really not allowing people to do things. Metamorphose is essentially a free spell that helps Storm decks as well as helps the Prowess decks. And to me, honestly, I have always felt like these super aggressive Prowess decks were way worse to play against than Uro had ever been. I know I'm probably in the minority there, but that's fine. I can deal with being in the minority. Those decks were just not fun. They were miserable to play against. And that's another big reason with Lava Dart I think should go too. This card is just, it's unfun to play against. It has the same issue with... Sorry about that. My cats are fighting. Everyone complained about Ren and 6 stopping X1s from existing. Well, Lava Dart is much worse. It kills your X1s and it helps to just project those decks into being stupid busted. Again, I'm a big fan. I think all the free spells in the format should just be banned. Surgical, Gut Shot, Mutagenic Growth. Just ban all the free spells. Don't let any of them exist in the format just because they shouldn't have existed in the first place. They shouldn't have been printed in the first place. The next two are the kind of anti-control / control card and the other card that incurs just as much value as Uro, and in my opinion is harder to deal with in general. Alright, Season Power, sorry about that. Again, Season Pyromancer incurs a ton of value, and to be honest, as of late, I've lost to more Season Pyromancer decks than I have Uro decks. The card is just ridiculous. Digs through your deck, makes tokens, it's great against aggressive decks, it's great against control decks. The only area it kind of falls behind was directly against Uro. In the head-to-head with Uro, it lost. But other than that, the card is just busted. In fact, I'm at the point now where I don't want to leave home without 4 of this card in any modern deck I play. Now, with that being said, I think there's a completely reasonable argument with, unless your reason is just literally, well, we've been meaning to ban Uro, but we just never got around to it, then I think if your argument is just too much value, too powerful of a card for what it does, Seasoned Pyromancer is in that same boat. Now, you can argue that because it's not blue, it's not nearly as powerful as Uro. And to that I can agree. That I can see why it stays around. And I'm not saying this card should absolutely be banned with Uro. I'm just saying, you guys want to pretend you have a watch list? This card should be on your watch list if Uro is banned now. And lastly, Teferi. If we're trying to fix the problem that is the blue soup decks, Teferi's got to go too. Teferi's too strong. He just stops all interaction, and all interaction, instant speed, I should say. And I mean, he cuts off Cascade completely. He is definitely the kind of card that he is such a huge reason why so many decks struggle against blue decks right now. Honestly, almost just as much for non-aggressive decks as Uro, as them struggling against Uro. 100%. I think this card is another one that needs to be considered getting rid of. In fact, if we keep Mystic Sanctuary and Field of the Dead and Omnath, only way I'll accept that as being not a stupid decision is if Teferi goes. I'm not saying the control decks need to be neutered. What I'm trying to say is if we're going that route, which clearly we are since we're banning Uro, then we need to do it. Don't do like the Astrolabe part where we're going to touch these decks to try and hinder them slightly. No. If we're going to go, then go. If you want to admit we have a problem with these blue soup decks and you want to not have that problem anymore, then do it. Get rid of the problem. Stop the problem. You already have plenty of powerful cards in the format: Force Negation, Archmage Charm, Snapcaster Mage, Jason the Mind Sculptor, Teferi Hero of Dominaria, Supreme Verdict. All these really powerful blue X cards that are incredibly good in the format without having Field of the Dead, without having Mystic Sanctuary, without having Teferi Time Raveler. Also, people complain about Primeval Titan and think Primeval Titan needs to be banned. Well, guess what? Get rid of that argument by getting rid of Field of the Ruin and Amulet of Vigor. You get rid of those cards, you no longer have a Primeval Titan needs to be banned argument. Because the decks that Primeval Titan is in, when it is a turn 4 or turn 5 Titan, or at best sometimes maybe turn 3, it's not killing you on turn 3. It's doing damage. It's not killing you on turn 3, though. So, with that being said, I think all these cards should have something done about them. Specifically, Tibalt needs to have something done about it. These two cards need to be banned for sure come next ban list, as well as Tibalt's Trickery. Those cards just need to be gone. These cards, I think, would all be advantageous and just for the health of Modern better to go. These cards are cards I think that show examples of why other cards, like we're going to talk about now, should be allowed in the format. The Tron pieces are why we should have Cloud Post. Do I think Cloud Post would change this format? Not at all. Do I think Eye of Ugin would? Absolutely. I think Eye of Ugin would change the format drastically. So I agree Eye of Ugin should still be banned because Eldrazi is still a deck. And right now Eldrazi is already okay. They're not good. I wouldn't say they're a top tier deck, but they're okay. And to me, Eye of Ugin seems like it might do too much for them. Anyway, the artifact lands. Now, yes, there are still affinity decks. They exist. There's Hammer Time, stuff like that exist in the deck format that are artifact-based decks. Hammer Time's not super artifact-based, but you get what I mean. I think those decks would all benefit by having access to these artifact lands, and I think they're just weak enough right now that having these artifact lands wouldn't hurt. And I think it'd be kind of cool. Maybe it might make Urza a little dangerous, but I think it'd be cool to have them. It could also make Emery too dangerous. Now, while I would say just unban the whole set of 5, you could just unban all the non-blue ones, and then I would be happy too. Because if your concern is really, see the Synod will be too powerful, then ban the others. Or keep the others and ban it. Keep it banned. I don't think you have to unban the entire cycle. That's just my opinion. And then next are cards that maybe are a little too much for the format still, but I don't think would be. Starting with Faithless Footing. Of course, Mardu decks and stuff took a big hit when Faithless Footing was banned. At the time it was banned, of course, it was a pretty good choice. It was cutting down what it did, but of course the fair decks are the ones really suffering from it. Excuse me, sorry. I think right now it would be fine to come back. A little dangerous, but I think it'd be fine. Next one is Punishing Fire. This is a Jund staple card. Punishing Jund, of course, it's a legacy deck. I think that Punishing Fire is a fine card, but at the fact that it does 2 damage for 2 mana, yes, it can be bought back, but Jund would have to shift its mana base so much to add in the Grove of the Burning Willows, also making itself weaker against Blood Moon, that I don't think it gains a ton with Punishing Fire existing. I think Punishing Fire is one of those cards that it's really cool to build around, and I think Punishing Fire should be unbanned. I don't think it needs to be banned anymore. It's a card that can be really good, and maybe it might push aggressive decks out of the format completely, but I honestly feel like if that's the case, then Lava Dart's already done that. If Lava Dart stays in the format, I think Punishing Fire can be unbanned. Because even if it's played in the Prowess deck, it's not going to be as good as in the Prowess deck as Lava Dart. So that's my opinion there. Again, Faithless Looting, I'm on the fence about it. Could go either way. Birthing Pod. There's already the 4-mana blue-green creature from the new Ravnica block that has the same ability essentially as it. But the thing is, it doesn't cost mana to tap her. You do have Summoning Sickness, so you have to wait a turn. But if Summoning Sickness is the trade-off with you either have to pay for the ability or you have to have Summoning Sickness, either's fine. Yes, there are really powerful creatures in the format. Yes, there could be a really powerful creature deck. But I think the big decks in the format right now that are really powerful, that are strictly creature decks, in green, I don't think any of them are going to play Birthing Pod. I don't think Heliod Company would play Birthing Pod. I don't think Elves would play Birthing Pod. I don't think any of the Stoneblade decks would play Birthing Pod. I think, at worst, what Birthing Pod does is it creates a new deck in the format. Actually, there's only one deck I can think of that might want to play Birthing Pod, and that would be Goblins. And even then, I doubt it. But I could see Goblins wanting to play Birthing Pod so it can go from, the 2-drop, just deal damage to something, into Matron, into a Ringleader, or a Matron into the Black Siege Gang card. I could see that. The last one is, of course, Splinter Twin, which is a card that I think should have been unbanned a long time ago. It is a fun, powerful card, but at the end of the day, it's a 4-mana enchantment. And you got to play it on your turn, which means you can't protect it with Force and Negation. There's a lot of things about it that don't make it super busted. And I get why people are afraid of the card. I do. Because at a point in time, it was one of the most absurd decks in the format. And Blue-Red could do whatever they wanted. And now with Uro in the format still, if it had been unbanned with Uro, Teamer Twin, I think, would have been the best deck in the format, for just hands down. I could be wrong. I'll admit that. But I think it would have been. Anyway, I've talked to you guys' ear off long enough. This wasn't really much of a rant video at the end. But yeah, I think it's absolutely idiotic the way that certain people come at the format and come at the ban list. Uro getting banned to me is fine. I think that it admittedly has been a time coming. But I think there's so many other cards in the format that if Uro's going, we really need to evaluate and start getting rid of it. Because if we're really going to start pretending we care about the actual well-being of Modern, all of this shit needs to go. All of it right here needs to just go. Add another 7 or 8 cards to the ban list. Honestly, if we really care about the health of the format, get rid of this shit too. If that's where we're at, get rid of all of this. Just Goryo's Vengeance. Get rid of all the busted quick combo cards. And let's have more of a fair deck. Like, keep traditional Storm. Let us have regular Storm where we can, accelerate with mana, go off with Grape Shot. Like, don't ban everything from that deck. Just get rid of the free spell from that deck. But the other stuff, get rid of it. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying Splinter Twin is getting unbanned, but I think it should. I think Birthing Pod should. I think all these cards, except maybe Cloudpost, should come off the ban list. And maybe Faithless Looting too. I don't know what anyone would do with Cloudpost that would make it so busted that it couldn't come off, but I guess there could be something. Anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, hit the like button. If you want to see more videos like this, go hit the subscribe button. And yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next video.